All right. Woo. Look. I got that wow. Who wants some hands up right now? We got that. Turn it up loud. I know you're wondering how. I got that wow. Here I go, coming. I can't ever stop. I'm a tour de force running. Get me to the top. I don't need an invitation. I'm about to start a celebration.
Hello.
I turned you on.
Yeah.
I turned you on, then you turned you off, then sorry.
Don't be mess. So just like when we are in the truck and I go to turn up the heat or change the radio station, Bill says, "My area, your area."
Yes. Well, even though we had a rocky start, this is 3 cocktails in. And we're mostly here for the addicting conversations. Think of it like just friends having a conversation. That's basically what we do on this podcast. Right?
Yep.
Yeah. And they just like what happens with all of your friends, they go off on tangents.
Yes.
Sometimes
we do.
Those oftentimes are the best part of the episodes.
Sometimes I don't think we've stuck to topic once in over a year, which is fine.
Yeah. I mean, we stick to the topic for a while, then we kind of go off the rails closer to the end. But that's all right.
Yeah. I'm excited about today's topic.
Are you?
Yeah. I think it's very interesting.
Well, let's just get into it then.
All right.
So this episode, we would like to talk about some recent movies that we've seen. And specifically, who knows, like I said, we'll go off the rails. But to start with, we're going to talk about some movies we've seen that have older women and younger men. So there's several lately that we've seen where they cast, or the storyline is an older woman, and by older I mean over 40 to, to our age in 50s, with younger men somewhere in their 20s to 30s.
Yes.
So there you go. What do you think of that?
Some of them are good.
Yes.
Generally, let's start with just generalities. Some of them are good. Some of them are bad.
Yes. So one I liked was called The Idea of You. It had Anne Hathaway, and like usual, I can't remember the guy, but it was on Prime Video if anybody wants to look at it. Of the 3 I'm thinking of, that one is the one I like the best.
Okay, I did not watch that one because I have a problem with Anne Hathaway.
Oh, interesting.
I find her very, very annoying.
Oh.
I saw an interview clip of, I don't know who the person was that was interviewing her, but she was cold.
Really?
I think it was right after Les Mis came out, and she was not having it. She was not wanting to do an interview that way, and the attitude was off the charts. But
every time I see her do an interview, she looks totally fake, like she's acting in the interview, doing the tears thing and the whatever. I'm like, that does not look real. But anyway, so I didn't watch that one. Now, I did pick up on a lot of internet chatter about it. Not because, in 2 things. People kind of came down pretty harsh on her because she was only playing a 41-year-old woman. She is 41.
Yeah.
That wasn't a stretch.
40. No.
And I will say she looks really good. She looks really good. I'm not saying anything about, that.
Okay,
well, and that's one reason I liked it compared to some others. It was fairly realistic for me. The storyline and everything was fairly realistic.
So what is the storyline? Because I'm assuming that has some So if this is an older woman and a younger man, I am assuming that's part of the storyline. That's
the
key to the
storyline.
Okay.
Yeah, whether it can work. Again,
Okay.
she played early 40s. He was in a band mid 20s, I think his character's supposed to be. Right? So that's the storyline is,
Okay.
they
And
got along really well. She kind of gets in her head towards the end of it. Can it work? Can this really work out? Our age difference.
so, I mean, we should probably say, spoiler alert throughout this entire episode. People want to go watch these movies. We're talking about them,
Right.
and this as a topic. So, does it work out for them?
You want me to spoil it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think because that's what we're. I think that would be good to help us then dissect a little bit more about. Okay.
So if you haven't seen it, yes, I'm going to say eventually it works out.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that was also a book. And I think the other part of the chatter was in the movie, the man who was supposed to be playing an early to mid 20-year-old was actually in his 30s and did not look like the gap that people probably envisioned while they were reading the book.
Could be.
Which I think part of it was the movie looked like it could happen because they didn't look like they were that much different in age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the movies that I watched, I looked up who wrote and directed them. Did you by any chance look up to see who? Okay. All the ones that I have 5 that I paid attention to, they were all written by women. Which I think is very interesting. And many of them were written and directed by the same person. So did you like the movie? You thought it worked. What was some of the stuff so was that the primary plot? Was that this was an intergenerational love affair?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was about all there was to it. Yes. Yep.
Okay. I think you and I both watched The Lonely Planet, not The Lonely Planet, but Lonely Planet with Laura Dern and Liam
Hemsworth. Yep.
First of all, that was some good eye candy. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you for that one. I thought the movie was okay. I don't think they ever discussed their age. I don't think that was the prime. I think that was almost a secondary storyline. They were at a writer's retreat. She's the famous writer. She only goes because she's under this massive deadline. She was invited at this somewhere in India, wasn't it? I don't know. She doesn't want to participate with any of the activities. It wasn't a rom-com. It was kind of a little bit more of a dramatic movie. Quite frankly, she was a bitch and standoffish and cold. And all of a sudden, the two of them find each other doing things together. I'm frozen again, people. What in the heck is this? And look how I'm frozen.
Very serious.
Not good. I don't know what that is.
Well, we can hear you.
What did you think of the movie?
Yeah, it was just average for me. And the part that I didn't like was the age difference. I couldn't see the two of them together. You know what I mean?
Oh, it wasn't believable for you.
It was no chemistry for me.
Yeah, I didn't think they had chemistry either. But I didn't think it was because of age difference. I think they just didn't have any chemistry.
Yeah.
And also, she was not nice. So why would he be with her?
I don't know. I think it was more because, he was also trying to, he he either went there with his girlfriend or brought his girlfriend. I can't remember how that went. She was young. They weren't getting along. They were didn't talk about anything. I think the conversation between Laura Dern and Liam's character, they were having a lot of conversation.
Okay.
So I think maybe that was the draw for him,
Yeah.
And again, Laura Dern looks great. I can see it. I just didn't see it for the two of them.
Yeah. So as I was thinking about the conversation that we were going to have tonight, I immediately thought about, okay, well, it seems like we're seeing more of these arise. Okay, we're seeing more of them. And it's not just because we are of this age. It's not like, how you're going to buy a car, you've picked out the car you want, and then when you're driving around, you see them everywhere, right? It's not like that. But they're actually making more of these movies. And if we look back in history, and one of the most iconic movies, famous for older woman, younger man, was The Graduate. Okay. And that was in 1967. They didn't make these movies back then because, quite frankly, it was taboo.
Yeah.
It was you didn't want to talk about it. And then this movie came out, and then it was, intriguing, of course, and everybody saw the movie. But it took a really long time for it to be more prominently okay, let's have more storylines about that.
Right.
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. I turned my camera off. I'm going to pretend like I'm calling it in. I think you're totally right, Kitty. And I think one of the reasons maybe we're seeing more of them is the advent of Netflix and Prime and Hulu and all these streaming venues that, one, they need content. They have to keep producing, but also they're appealing to a wider audience. You don't have to sink bazillions of dollars in for a big weekend release. And I love it. I love that we're seeing more. I love that they're written and directed by women. And I just keep hoping that makes the stories better and better.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
If you want to see Lonely Planet, that's on Netflix, by the way.
Yep.
Somebody's looking at that. I do have a couple of odd stats since you brought up The Graduate. I did look into that. The year, was in the 60s. What is weird about The Graduate? So Anne Bancroft played the older woman or the mother. She was only 36. Okay. But funnier yet, Dustin Hoffman, who played the college age guy, was 30.
There you go.
Yeah. He looked like a baby though.
Yes.
He looked like he was
did.
19 years
I just think it's odd that, they had Anne Bancroft play older, her daughter Catherine Ross, she wasn't much younger than that either, so the age difference there was kind of a little odd, but interesting. I don't know if that's because they didn't think they could, find someone 50 to play that role. I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure they could find someone 50. I'm sure conversation was, would anybody watch someone 50 play the role? Let's qualify that. Would anybody watch a woman who's 50 play the role? Yeah.
Right. Because, that was back in the time when I'm going to forget who I mean, but like Betty Davis and who was on The Feud?
Joan Crawford.
They were getting older and they were really having a hard time finding, and by older, I mean 50, not 70.
Or even just over 40.
Yeah.
So recently, there's been sort of a ruckus.
I love a good ruckus.
Yeah. at the Hallmark Channel. This hit the headlines a couple of weeks ago. So there are two actresses who, like, at any given time, if you turn on the Hallmark Channel, they are on. Lacey
Chaubert.
Chaubert.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Chaubert, yeah, and Holly Robinson Peete. Holly is 62, Lacey is 42. And
wow.
There is a lawsuit now. Perry has filed a lawsuit. Or I'm sorry, Penny Perry is the director of so many of those movies. And so she has said, basically, we need younger leading ladies. These women are, I'm going to paraphrase. I'm going to say these women are aging out. That's not the term that they've used. But they're saying that they need younger leading ladies for these movies. So Bill and I were talking about it because my immediate reaction was, I was kind of upset about it. It's like that, we have felt that in the workplace. We've talked about that here on the podcast. Like, for me, I felt it was a light switch when I hit 50. All of a sudden, I was referred to as old. But when you look at this in the movie industry, the TV industry, newscasters, unfortunately, you models as well, when you hit a certain age, your career starts to decline. And so if they're putting these scripts together, these movies that are, the leading characters, men or women, are supposed to be in their 30s or 40s, and your main actresses are above that, you have to cast people who are younger than that. So as much as this pisses me off, I also understand it at the same time.
Well, yes. My initial thought is, why are all the scripts just about 30-year-old women?
Yes. Right.
Why do we have to eliminate one subset? Because quite frankly, who has time to sit around and watch Hallmark movies? I bet the demographic is slightly older than they think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a long time since I have, but
yeah, they know who their demographic is. They know very well who their demographic is, and I'm sure it is over 60. So I'd like to do even a little bit more research on this topic, because if they are still feeling that their leading characters need to be in their 30s, I mean, Lacey is 42. So, if their leading characters need to be in their 30s, it is sort of intriguing or confusing or interesting. I don't know what the right word is. The fact that that older audience wants to see those storylines. Mm-hmm. And I mean, maybe they do. It's like, maybe, I don't know. This is a conflicting topic because it hits so close to home from an employment standpoint as well. But I think, so these women, Lacey, Holly, they don't have to be scripted out. They can still be in the storyline. They just take on a different persona in the casting, where they may have been the daughters before. Now they're the mothers. There's still a role for them. I guess that's what I'm saying. There's still a role. You don't have to completely lose your job.
Right, but not a leading one that they want. And besides that, is there no conversation about the men? I mean, men can be in these movies with, 30-year-old women. The men can be 30, 40, 50, 60. You know what I mean? It seems like it doesn't matter how old they are.
Yeah. In this particular case, it just had to do with the women. And I think that the statement was actually, these women are over the age of what we want our leading women to be. So it didn't say anything about men.
Of course.
Of course. That's my thought too. Of course.
Yeah.
So one of the movies that I watch, if you want to talk about, this is a series on Netflix. An older woman, 60, very wealthy, 60-year-old Italian woman, and a younger man who is unbelievably hot, smoking hot, as a good friend of ours would say, smoking hot. But he looks like he's not even 40. We're talking a good 20 years difference in them. And of course, and she, as many European women are, looks fabulous. Just looks very put together and attractive. And my first thought is he's scamming her. You know, the story, I look at it and she's falling for him. It's called Deceitful Love. It's a series on Netflix. It's fairly new. And I'm happy to say I took one for the team and watched 2 episodes. So if you want something to watch, it's a good one. Let me just say it was good. But my first thought is how can she think that he's interested in her? What does that say about me? That's my first thought, that there's no way this man would be interested in a 60-year-old woman. Which also, if we could go on a little tangent, reminds me of some of the comments I've thought to myself on my dating journey. I've gotten asked out or matched by men who are like 48, went out with a guy that was 48, went out with another guy that was 50. And one of my very first questions to them is, why are you dating older? And I think that from what some of these movies that I've watched, I maybe need to start looking at dating younger as opposed to dating older. And why is that a thought that's so unrealistic for a 40-year-old man to be interested in a 60-year-old woman who is well put together, but she looks 60?
Yeah, that's interesting.
I mean, we don't think anything about a 40-year-old woman dating a 60-year-old man.
No, we don't. Yeah.
Wait, say that again? No, say, Amy, what did you say?
We don't think anything about a 40-year-old woman dating a 60-year-old man.
Right.
So why does it cause such a kerfuffle when it's the other way around?
That is a good question. And you kind of hit it on the head earlier, is you know, asking your question, well, why would you want to date an older woman? You know, it's that would always be in the back of my head too. Is like, why wouldn't you go find someone, you know, your own age or younger? Yeah. So what's the draw? What's the draw to older women?
I'll tell you what, the one guy that I dated.
Yeah, for the men, what's the draw?
I'll tell you what the one guy said to me. I think I mentioned this in an earlier episode because I asked him, Benny Boo Boo, Ben. I'm like, okay, Ben, you're very cute and you're 48, you know, what are you doing dating older? And he looks at me and goes, honestly, I don't want to have any more kids. And I started laughing. I'm like, okay, well, all right. And he said, you know, younger women may still want to have kids. I don't want any more. Turns out he's got a number of kids, you know, from a couple different women from his earlier days. I thought that was a viable answer. Okay, you know, all right. But then he said, older women have been beaten down by life and they have lower standards.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Swipe left.
Yeah.
Can you, Oh, we were out on a date in person when he told this to me.
Oh, man.
Can you imagine how hard I laughed at him? Oh, I just laughed. I'm like, oh, your theory is sadly mistaken. You are so far off.
Yeah.
We are yes, we have been run through the ringer, but we haven't lowered our standards. We've decided to raise our standards.
Oh, my.
Needless to say, that was our one and only date. But I thought that was, again, kudos to him for actually answering the question, even if he was seriously wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Wow. That's shocking.
Yeah. So I would recommend watching that because it is actually, like I said, I've only watched 2 episodes, but there's a good story there about you kind of know that he's a scammer and she knows he's a scammer, but she's kind of pissed off at her kids because she's like, I'm old enough to know what's going on and I might just be enjoying it for what it is. So I'm intrigued by the storyline.
Yeah, I could see that. She wants to have some fun and she knows that it's not going to be serious. Maybe.
Well,
We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah. Have you seen A Family Affair?
I started watching that today as research.
Right. So that's Nicole Kidman and Zac Efron on Netflix. I would call it a little more close to a rom-com. It's a little more comedic, not so dramatic like the others we've mentioned.
Don't ruin that for me.
I will not ruin it.
I'm actually enjoying that. Sometimes Nicole Kidman can be very stiff and utterly out of her element. I actually think she's pretty good and pretty relaxed in this one.
Yeah.
Like she seems believable and like a normal response. And also he's hot as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Of the 3 that I saw, that would be my least favorite. And again, I'm not seeing the 2 of them together.
I guess I didn't have a problem with the 2 of them.
Is that a series?
No.
No.
It's a movie.
It's a movie.
No. Movie.
Kitty, it would be a wonderful thing to have on, like while you're doing your jewelry packing or whatever.
Yeah.
It's cute. I think it's kind of cute.
Yeah.
And there's only
It's a comedy.
There's like a 16-year age difference between the 2 of them. But it doesn't seem like that big of a gap.
Only 16? Are you sure?
That's what they said in the movie.
Okay. Yeah.
The weird thing is they were brought together because her daughter was his personal assistant.
Yes.
So therein lies the awkwardness.
Yeah.
What about one of my old favorites, Under the Tuscan Sun? I love that movie. And that was quite a while ago. So that was one of those first ones where Diane Lane falls in love with a younger Italian man.
So similarly then, if you go back to 1998 with How Stella Got Her Groove Back, the comparison between those 2, Stella and Under the Tuscan Sun, is that here are these women that they go away. So they have strife in their life. They travel somewhere. They go away. They go to get away. They meet. They have this, there's obviously something very exotic about going somewhere and meeting someone from there and having a whirlwind romance. So the romanticism of that is off the charts. But I think what can be a common thread with many of these, and I don't know if they're showing up in the ones that you guys are talking about, but a common thread can be that these storylines actually empower the women. They show these really powerful, strong women who they might be going through something, but it flips this normal stereotypes completely upside down, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah. You know, and along those lines, I think in all of these, the women are well aware of what is happening.
Yes. 100%.
You know, they're not doubting their position or their attractiveness. I was trying to think, I couldn't remember in Lonely Planet, Stacey, maybe you'll remember. But it doesn't seem to me like there's too much discussion about, the woman doesn't really talk about being older than the man. Like that doesn't actually seem to be part of their conversation. I think there's an acknowledgement of it.
There is. She called him kid once, and it upset him. He didn't like it, and she felt bad that she said it. And then it was over. And yeah, I agree. That's where most of these have the common thing. The woman is very confident. They are not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a big piece of it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in no way, shape, or form cougars either. Like I hate that whole cougar moniker. I think it's just stupid. It's insulting to women that you're on the prowl for younger men.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think there's another theme, and of course it's movies, and I know it's drama and escapism, but in all of these that we're talking about, plus I even went back to Home Again with Reese Witherspoon when she moves out to LA and lets 3 young guys live in her guest house, and they start helping with her kids, and one of them takes her out for dinner and she kind of falls in love with them. None of these men have any attachments. They don't have kids in the storylines. They don't have ex-wives in the storylines. For the most part, with the exception of Reese Witherspoon in that Home Again, all the other women, if they have kids, the kids are in their 20s or 30s, 20s. So they really are not dealing with like a daily life sort of issues.
Yeah.
Again, I'm going to come back to the whole match thing.
Yeah. Maybe
anytime I
go ahead.
see a younger man on there, and by younger, I mean 55. No, that's not young. I mean, it's younger. That doesn't count. But some of them. But anything close to like the 48, 50, they've got kids at home. Matter of fact, there was a 60-year-old that sent me a match, and he's got a 5-year-old son.
Ooh.
I'm like, yeah, that's... So again, it's got to be life circumstances that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the part in the movie that all of these that is unrealistic. What are the odds that, that the men don't have kids? And that's right. None of them do. The few that the men are in their 30s, that's it. They've not been married or had kids. That's kind of unrealistic, honestly.
Or an ex.
Yeah.
Yeah. You said not married.
Interesting. Yeah.
What was the other one that you watched? The Lonely Planet, the Family Affair, and then the Anne Hathaway one?
Yeah. Idea of You.
That was it. I got to write that down.
Yep.
Is it okay? Do I watch it? Can I get over my Anne Hathaway thing?
Yeah. Yeah. I liked her in it. So yeah, I think so. I have one last thing I think is so even weirder than what we've been talking about is I go back to this movie that I absolutely hated. And I'll tell you why. Because again, for me, in a lot of movies, it has to do with casting. And did you ever see Cry Macho? It's maybe 4 years old. Horrible movie.
Awful.
Clint Eastwood, first of all, and of course he cast himself. and he's in his 90s. I don't know if they ever said what age he was supposed to be playing, but literally the man is 90. And for whatever reason, I'm not even getting the story doesn't even matter. But of course he, finds this woman. Guess how old she is? 50. Even if he's trying to play someone 70 and she's 50, really doesn't work when he's 90 and she's 50. And I just think that's such a double standard. Men, they'll cast men any age, and but yet we, it's such an oddity to see.
Yeah, we can't star on a Hallmark movie channel.
Yeah.
Hallmark channel movie because we're in our 50s, but Clint Eastwood can be 90.
90. Yeah. And it wouldn't have been so weird if there wasn't this romantic part in the movie, which I don't even think it needed. You know what I mean?
That was not necessary to the story.
It wasn't at all necessary. No.
Well, here's something in real life. Bill Belichick dating a 23-year-old. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Sure. That's real. Yep.
Turn
and the
that
one
around.
and the one that I
Turn
thought
that around.
The one that I thought was going to be real, and that's Hugh Jackman. He's getting a divorce from his older wife, Deborah. Did you know that?
Yes.
I thought
because
that
he
was
fell in love
one.
with that Sutton.
Yeah.
What's her name
Sutton-
from My Fair
Sutton
Lady? His
Foster.
co-star.
Yeah,
Yep.
Sutton Foster.
Sutton Foster a million years ago was on Say Yes to the Dress when she bought the dress to marry her then, who she's also getting a divorce from.
Right.
Oh, that makes me sad.
I know it did me too, because I thought, oh gosh, one that really could work, and has for a long time. And that was the recent thing I read about.
So now it's up to Pierce Brosnan to hang on to his wife.
Yes, I don't think that's an age thing, but yeah.
Well, I don't think Sutton Foster is very young.
Well, no, she's not. No, she's not young.
Okay. I don't know. I am loving that there's more of these movies. I'm loving that in a couple of them, the plot isn't necessarily all about it being an older woman, younger man.
Yeah.
It's a good story that just happens to have an older woman and a younger man. Oh, you guys, you find out really early in the credits of that Deceitful Love, her adult children cut off all of her credit cards, and they've got a lawsuit pending for a vulnerable adult because they think she's getting scammed. So this woman who is clearly in her right mind and knows what's going on, her kids think that they need to actually they're trying to protect their inheritance is what it is. But I wouldn't kill my kids, but I would be so ticked.
Yeah.
That would upset me. So I'm very interested in that.
Especially where she's only 60. Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's not 80.
Yeah.
So I am intrigued by the storyline because that was written by 4 women. And she knows what's going on, but I'm very intrigued to see how that's going to come out.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be hard.
We'll have to drop all the names of these into the post. So if people want to check them out, they're easy to access.
Okay, I got a question for you too.
Okay, we're going to wrap it up with this question.
Okay, here's the question. Would you too, God forbid something happens to your beloveds, would you date somebody 10, 15 years younger than you?
Sure. With the question. I just feel like, I dated my husband that's 10 years older, so 10 years younger. I think, and I also have to say, I think the older we get, that gap of only 10 years probably isn't very big. If you're talking
Okay,
20,
15 to 20.
yeah, 15 to 20, no. I just don't think we're going to be in the same place. That's usually what it, that's what it would be for me. I can't imagine we'd be in the same place.
Kitty?
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't seem likely. I think for the same reason. I mean, if you're not wanting to do the same things, and I think especially as we get older, it's important to be in the same place, metaphorically speaking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think, but you just never know. You never know. But I would say it would be unlikely.
Yeah. How about you? It's been an interesting year on Match with all the different people all the different men I've dated. Kind of their ages have been kind of all over. And I'm starting to have a little list going and little pros and cons. And I'm thinking and again, I may have been too hasty about swiping on younger men. And I only mean by younger by like that 48, 50. So that's we're not even hitting the 10-year mark.
Right.
That I might be looking at that again. I think that they're more active, and I think that where we're at in life might be a better match than somebody who is 10 years older than me. Which might say more about me than them. So we'll see. Yeah. I can't imagine 15 to 20. Good Lord. I got enough self-esteem issues. I don't need to be thinking they're looking at somebody who's 35 and then me. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Or 40. Sorry.
Well, and then for me, it would be sure for now, but what about in 10 years or in 15 years?
Yeah, that's a whole that is a topic that we could touch on. Why are we looking 10 to 15 years ahead? Maybe we need to learn to be in the present.
In the
Isn't
moment.
that kind of a thing too?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure it is.
All right.
Okay, wow, we beat this one to death.
You think? I think we threw out some really good options for people for women to watch while they're cooking or home on vacation.
Yeah. This will drop on Thanksgiving Day, I believe. Or am I a week ahead again? I don't know. I think it's Thanksgiving Day. So yeah, it could be your, playlist for Friday and the weekend.
Yeah.
Never.
If you don't want to watch football, we provided some good alternatives for you.
There you go. Yep. Yeah, I'm not thinking men are watching these movies, right? I don't think they'd be very interested.
Well, our men that watch us and listen to us, they'll have to chime in, tell us what they think.
If they'd watch it and what they think. You got it.
I would really love to know what their thoughts are on some of these shows.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
All right.
Do we have shots? Anybody have a shot?
I have a little tip.
Hey, tip is good.
Yep.
So, and I could just be late to the party on this, but I was at the grocery store on Monday morning, which, by the way, I am very much enjoying my new lifestyle. Grocery store on Monday morning, and I'm checking out, and I have a bunch of bananas. And the woman and of course, I'm running through the self-checkout because that's the way that I can live out my dream of working at a grocery store.
Yeah.
So I always do self-checkout. And so I'm running my bananas, and the woman who's working that area comes over and she said, okay, so now when you get your bananas home, wash them. Do you guys know this?
No, why?
Okay. I'm like, what? She said, so when they harvest bananas, they harvest them green, and they immediately spray them with a ripening agent so that by the time they get to the store, they're well on their way to being ripe.
Sure.
And then by the time you get them home within 2 days, they're
Banana bread,
exactly.
Yeah, ingredient.
So she said, wash your bananas, or at least run them under water and get all of that ripening agent off, and your bananas will last longer.
Did it work?
So this was, maybe it was Tuesday. It might have been, I think it was Tuesday morning. So far, yes. They don't look any different today than they did when I brought them home on Tuesday.
That's an excellent tip. We're going to need you to report back.
I
so
will.
Please pay attention. How many days did they go before they got too ripe?
Yeah. Okay.
We need data.
Because that's what I said to her too. I'm like, I can only make so much banana bread.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope that tip works, because that is what, when I bring bananas home, Barney likes them pretty greenish. I like him yellow, but as soon as there's a spot of brown, they go to Madison and she'll eat them. They'll be disgustingly brown.
You're kidding.
No,
they're super sweet then.
Yeah.
But they also have brown spots. The banana itself has brown spots. There's a difference between the peel and the banana having brown spots. But.
Yeah.
The more ripe a banana gets, the more the sugar content goes up. So, I like them. I'm with Barney. I like them just still a little bit green, and they're firm and.
Yeah. Yep. Huh,
that's what she said.
Oh boy.
All
right.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yes.
Happy
Thanksgiving.
We're thankful for you.
Yes.
We are very thankful to you. Thanks to all our readers. Thanks for everybody that's reading us, listening, or watching, even though you can't see Amy. We talk about this all the time. Technology. You just never know how it's going to go.
Yep. All right. Peace out,
all
peeps.
Right.
Peace.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
See you next week.
Cheers.
Bye.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I waved.
All right. Woo. Look. I got that wow. Who wants some hands up right now? We got that. Turn it up loud. I know you're wondering how. I got that wow. Here I go, coming. I can't ever stop. I'm a tour de force running. Get me to the top. I don't need an invitation. I'm about to start a celebration. Let me in. Brought a good time plus some friends. Turn it up loud past 10. Turning up the crowd when I hit 'em.